The 20th century marked an era of rapid technological advancement and geopolitical tension. The world found itself in the grip of the Cold War, a period dominated by fierce competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. This ideological and military rivalry extended into the cosmos, setting the stage for a new frontier: space. The dreams of reaching the stars were no longer the fantasies of science fiction, but an urgent and highly symbolic battle for supremacy. As nations grappled with political divisions, the exploration of space emerged as an arena where technology, national pride, and human ambition could intersect. The pursuit of space exploration was not merely a quest for scientific knowledge, but a demonstration of technological prowess and national power. The moon, often viewed as a symbol of humanity's unattainable dreams, was thrust into the center of this competition. The launch of Sputnik 1 by the Soviet Union in 1957 triggered a race like no other, with both superpowers vying for control of space. The United States, under President John F. Kennedy's leadership, embraced space exploration as both a scientific endeavor and a means to assert its global dominance. On May 25, 1961, Kennedy's stirring declaration to land a man on the moon before the end of the decade set the stage for one of the most ambitious goals in human history. The moon landing was not just a goal, it was a statement. The mission to reach the moon represented the culmination of decades of scientific research and technological innovation. But it also reflected the societal challenges of the time: Cold War tensions, economic disparities, and the rapid rise of the space industry. These elements intertwined to create a perfect storm of urgency and opportunity. The United States' Apollo program, with its goal of landing a man on the moon, became the focal point of this mission. The plan was audacious. It involved the development of new spacecraft, advanced technology, and international cooperation. But it was more than just a race to the moon. It was a manifestation of the human desire to explore, to conquer the unknown, and to prove what could be achieved when society came together with a common goal. The Apollo mission, especially the Lunar Gateway project, had profound implications not only for the scientific community but for the future of space exploration. A space station orbiting the moon would serve as a critical stepping stone for deeper space exploration, paving the way for missions to Mars and beyond. By establishing a permanent outpost in lunar orbit, humanity could begin the process of not just visiting the moon, but sustaining life there, researching its resources, and using it as a platform for exploring the far reaches of space. But beyond the scientific and technological goals, the Lunar Gateway mission symbolized something larger: humanity's resilience, its ingenuity, and its determination to reach beyond the confines of Earth. In the midst of global uncertainty, the idea of creating something permanent in space was a unifying force, offering hope for a future where humanity's greatest challenges could be overcome by collaboration and innovation. As with any grand endeavor, the success of the mission rested on the shoulders of many key figures. The political leaders, visionaries, and astronauts who embarked on this journey were not just soldiers in a geopolitical struggle, they were pioneers of a new age. From the inspiring speeches of political figures like John F. Kennedy, who famously declared, "We choose to go to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard," to the scientific minds who shaped the Apollo missions, the individuals involved were united by one central purpose: to push the boundaries of human achievement. Behind the scenes, a host of engineers, scientists, and technicians worked tirelessly to bring the vision of a lunar gateway to life. Their efforts were a blend of collaboration, creativity, and resilience. In a world dominated by skepticism and doubt, these individuals sought to prove that space exploration could transcend national borders, ideological divides, and technological limitations. The astronauts who took part in the Apollo missions became instant legends, their names forever etched into the annals of history. Figures like Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins demonstrated not only the courage to venture into the unknown, but also the spirit of teamwork and sacrifice that underpinned the mission. The stakes were immense. The Lunar Gateway project was not merely about planting flags on another celestial body, it was about establishing humanity's foothold in space. As Earth's resources dwindled and environmental challenges mounted, the need to look beyond our planet became ever more pressing. The moon, with its rich deposits of water ice and rare minerals, could offer the key to sustainable space exploration. Politically, the success of the Lunar Gateway mission could shift the balance of power. Space had become the new frontier, and whoever controlled it would hold significant influence on Earth. In a world that was already grappling with the effects of Cold War rivalry, space exploration presented an opportunity to break free from the confines of Earth and secure a future beyond political borders. As we look back at this period in history, it's essential to understand the broader context in which these missions unfolded. The space race was not just a competition for technological supremacy, but a battle for the future of humanity itself. The Lunar Gateway mission embodied the spirit of that struggle, an endeavor born out of ambition, driven by necessity, and propelled by a belief in the boundless potential of human ingenuity. This story begins at the threshold of that great leap forward. The era of space exploration had arrived, and with it, the promise of a future where humanity could venture into the unknown. In the chapters that follow, we will explore the challenges, triumphs of the Lunar Gateway project, delving into the early days of the mission, the key players who drove it forward, and the technological breakthroughs that made it possible. The journey was about more than just reaching the moon. It was about securing humanity's future in space, overcoming the immense challenges ahead, and proving that with determination and unity, anything was possible. At the dawn of the 1960s, space exploration was in its infancy, and the technological barriers seemed insurmountable. While both the United States and the Soviet Union had made strides in rocketry and satellite technology, sending a human into space and landing them on the moon appeared to be a nearly impossible feat. The immense distances involved, the lack of advanced materials, and the dangers of deep space travel posed significant obstacles. In the early days of the space race, the Soviet Union held the upper hand. The launch of Sputnik 1 in 1957 demonstrated that they had the technological capability to send objects into orbit, and later, the first living creature, Laika, into space. This achievement sent shockwaves across the globe, creating a sense of urgency within the United States. The political and military implications of the Soviet success were evident. The Soviets were winning the space race, and prevails. However, beyond the technological hurdles, there was the prevailing societal skepticism. Many questioned whether sending a human to the moon was worth the cost, both financially and politically. The idea of dedicating billions of dollars to a space program during a time of social unrest, civil rights movements, and military tensions was met with resistance from some political figures and the public. Critics argued that the funds could be better spent on solving domestic issues such as poverty, education, and racial inequality. Despite the skepticism, there was an undeniable need to push forward. Space had become the ultimate stage for demonstrating human capability, and failure was not an option. The United States, under President Kennedy's leadership, recognized that achieving space superiority could change the course of history, both in terms of technology and international influence. It was in this climate of uncertainty and skepticism that President John F. Kennedy's famous speech on May 25, 1961, galvanized the nation. Standing before Congress, Kennedy made an audacious promise. "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth." This was more than just a political speech. It was a bold declaration of vision. Kennedy's words tapped into something deeply ingrained in the American psyche: the belief in human progress, exploration, and the pursuit of the unknown. His statement rallied not only the scientific community but also the American public, shifting the space program from a symbolic gesture into a tangible mission. Kennedy's vision was clear. The moon landing was not simply about beating the Soviets or proving technological superiority. It was about pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Kennedy understood that this mission would serve as a defining moment in history. It would symbolize not just a victory for America, but a triumph of human ingenuity. The speech ignited the spirit of competition and collaboration within the United States, pushing NASA into action and inspiring a generation of scientists, engineers, and astronauts to think bigger and bolder than ever before. The challenge was set: to send a man to the moon and bring him back safely. The moon landing was never just a matter of technological innovation. It was also deeply intertwined with political and economic pressures. The space race, particularly in the context of the Cold War, was a critical part of the broader ideological struggle between the capitalist West and the communist East. Every achievement in space was seen as a victory for one side over the other, and this drove both superpowers to push the boundaries of their technological capabilities. In the United States, space exploration was positioned as a national priority, not just for its scientific value, but as a matter of political prestige. The space race was an extension of the political struggle, with each achievement on the lunar frontier serving as proof of superiority. As the Soviet Union continued to make its own advances, including launching the first man into space, Yuri Gagarin, the pressure on the United States to keep pace became more intense. The mission to the moon was no longer just a scientific goal. It was a matter of national security. On the domestic front, the social landscape of the 1960s was charged with civil rights struggles, protests against the Vietnam War, and demands for economic equality. Many Americans viewed the Apollo program as a distraction from these pressing issues. Protests against the cost of the space program intensified, as some questioned whether the United States should be prioritizing space exploration over solving the nation's social problems. The economic costs of the space program were immense. The Apollo program, which would eventually cost over $25 billion, was seen by many as an extravagant expenditure during a time when the country was facing significant challenges. Yet for Kennedy and his advisors, the investment in space exploration was not just a matter of prestige, but a necessary step for securing a technological future. The moon mission, Kennedy argued, would pay dividends beyond the immediate future, spurring innovations that would benefit all sectors of society. Despite the mounting pressures, the commitment to the Apollo program remained unwavering. NASA's leadership, alongside political figures and engineers, knew that overcoming technological limitations and societal doubts was essential to achieving the mission. The sense of urgency was palpable, and there was no room for failure. The United States had to prove it could rise above the challenges and achieve what once seemed impossible. Kennedy's leadership was instrumental in maintaining momentum. He did not shy away from the monumental challenges ahead. He framed the space race as a unifying effort, one that required the collective will of the American people. His vision transcended politics and divided opinions. He was not just asking for financial support, he was asking for national commitment. In the months and years following Kennedy's speech, NASA would begin to rapidly develop the necessary technology, training astronauts, and forging partnerships with private industries. The stakes were high, but so too were the rewards. The moon landing had the potential to unite a divided nation, inspire future generations, and prove to the world that humanity's reach could extend beyond the stars. In the aftermath of Kennedy's speech, the pace of progress quickened and shone. NASA, despite the immense challenges, had set its sights firmly on the moon. The path to the Lunar Gateway was paved with technological trials and tribulations, but the resolve to succeed was stronger than ever. The drive for human exploration and discovery propelled the mission forward, ensuring that the Apollo program and the vision of landing on the moon would never lose momentum. As the days turned into years, engineers worked tirelessly to develop spacecraft, rockets, and systems capable of sending astronauts into space. The Apollo program would become a symbol of human determination, a beacon of hope during times of division, and a testament to the power of visionary leadership. The journey had only just begun, but the ultimate destination, humanity's first steps on the moon, was within reach. Behind every monumental achievement, there are individuals whose vision, persistence, and sacrifice transform ideas into reality. The success of the Lunar Gateway mission and the broader Apollo program was no exception. While the achievements in space exploration were often attributed to astronauts who made history with their moon landings, the true heroes of this story were the unsung figures who worked behind the scenes: scientists, engineers, astronauts, and politicians. Together, they formed the teams that shaped the future of space exploration. At the heart of the Apollo program's success were the political leaders who recognized the importance of space exploration for both national prestige and scientific advancement. President John F. Kennedy's leadership during the early 1960s was pivotal in turning the moon landing from an audacious idea into a national mission. Kennedy's moon speech on May 25, 1961, was more than just a political statement. It was a rallying cry that ignited the imaginations of the American people. His ability to communicate the larger purpose of the Apollo mission, beyond its immediate technical challenges, inspired an entire generation of scientists, engineers, and astronauts to think bigger and bolder. Kennedy's vision was clear. The mission was not just about demonstrating technological prowess, but about advancing humanity. His leadership fostered a sense of national unity, with the space race becoming a collective effort rather than the pursuit of a single institution or individual. Under Kennedy's guidance, the Apollo program was transformed from a scientific endeavor into a political priority. However, his untimely assassination in 1963 would leave a leadership vacuum, one that Lyndon B. Johnson would fill with determination and commitment to the vision Kennedy had set forth. Lyndon Johnson, then the vice president and later the president, would prove instrumental in ensuring that NASA remained a top priority. His political acumen and understanding of the significance of the space program helped keep the Apollo mission funded and supported, despite domestic challenges. Johnson's leadership during a time of national upheaval ensured that space exploration remained front and center in American politics, even as the country struggled with social issues such as civil rights and the Vietnam War. While political leaders set the tone for the Apollo program, it was the engineers and scientists who turned the moon landing dream into a feasible plan. Their work would be the foundation for the Apollo missions and would ultimately lead to the creation of the Lunar Gateway space station. Engineers worked on a broad range of technological innovations, from building the powerful rockets that would propel astronauts to the moon, to developing the advanced life support systems necessary to sustain them in space. These engineers worked in obscurity, their contributions often overshadowed by the fame of the astronauts who would walk on the lunar surface. One of the most significant breakthroughs was the Saturn V rocket, the largest and most powerful rocket ever built at the time. The engineers and scientists who worked on the Saturn V, including figures like Wernher von Braun, faced enormous challenges in ensuring the rocket's success. Von Braun, a former Nazi scientist who had been brought to the United States after World War II, played a pivotal role in developing the technology that made the moon landings possible. His expertise in rocketry, paired with the dedication of the American engineers who worked alongside him, ensured that the rocket would be capable of launching humans into space. Alongside von Braun were countless other scientists and engineers, many of whom worked behind the scenes in areas such as guidance systems, propulsion technology, and life support systems. The contributions of individuals like Margaret Hamilton, the director of the Software Engineering Division at MIT, were vital in the success of the Apollo missions. Hamilton's work on the onboard software that guided Apollo 11 to the moon was groundbreaking. Her team's software ensured that the spacecraft would not only reach the moon but also safely return to Earth. The contributions of engineers and technicians in smaller, often overlooked roles were equally significant. Reception. The development of lunar landers, spacesuits, communication systems, and other essential technologies depended on the tireless efforts of these unsung heroes. Of course, no discussion of the key figures in space exploration would be complete without mentioning the astronauts. They were the ones who would ultimately walk on the lunar surface, making history as the first humans to leave Earth and explore another world. But before they could become legends, these astronauts underwent intense training, preparation, and testing that would push them to their physical and mental limits. The first astronauts selected for the Apollo missions were known as the New Nine, a group of individuals who were not only skilled pilots, but also exceptional in their physical endurance and mental fortitude. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins became the faces of the Apollo program. Their mission, Apollo 11, would make history on July 20, 1969, when Neil Armstrong became the first human to step onto the lunar surface. However, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins were not the only astronauts whose contributions were integral to the Apollo program. Figures like Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert, who were involved in the ill-fated Apollo 13 mission, demonstrated the incredible resilience and teamwork that defined the Apollo program. Though Apollo 13 did not result in a successful moon landing, the mission became a symbol of the indomitable spirit of the astronauts and the ground crew, who brought them home safely after a life-threatening crisis. The astronauts' experiences were not just physical and technical, but deeply emotional. They were often away from their families for extended periods, enduring intense isolation and the knowledge that their work might be the most dangerous they would ever undertake. Yet, despite the risks and the pressure, the astronauts maintained a sense of camaraderie, and their teamwork ultimately led to the success of the Apollo program. Though the Apollo program was primarily driven by American leadership, it would be remiss to overlook the international collaborations that played a role in its success. The space race was not solely a battle between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was a global endeavor that saw contributions from countries around the world. Many of the technological advances that powered the Apollo missions were made possible through partnerships with scientific institutions, universities, and private companies from various countries. For instance, British scientists made critical contributions to the development of the Apollo 11 mission's lunar lander, and Canadian engineers helped design the robotic arms that would later be used in space stations like the International Space Station. These collaborations were not only vital for the success of the Apollo program, but also laid the groundwork for future international cooperation in space exploration. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Apollo program was the spirit of teamwork that pervaded every level of the mission. The engineers, scientists, astronauts, and political leaders all worked together toward a single goal: landing a human on the moon. Despite the immense pressures, both from the Soviet Union and from within the United States, the team behind the Apollo missions never lost sight of the importance of their work. The astronauts often spoke of the profound sense of camaraderie and mutual respect that developed among the crew members. It was this bond, forged in the crucible of rigorous training and high-stakes missions, that helped them overcome the challenges they faced in space. Whether dealing with technical failures, personal doubts, or the intense isolation of space, the astronauts knew they could rely on each other to get through the most difficult moments. The success of the Apollo program and the broader Lunar Gateway mission was a direct result of this spirit of collaboration. From the political leaders in Washington to the scientists and engineers in laboratories, and finally, the astronauts who carried out the mission in space. The teams were united by a single, driving goal: to push humanity forward into the unknown. When the world first set its sights on the moon, it seemed like an unreachable goal. The idea of sending humans into space was once confined to the realm of science fiction, and the technical challenges were overwhelming. However, space exploration was driven not just by ambition, but by remarkable advancements in technology, each breakthrough bringing humanity closer to achieving the impossible. The Apollo missions, and later the Lunar Gateway initiative, would not have been possible without groundbreaking technological innovations. In the early years of space exploration, the development of technologies to safely carry humans beyond Earth's atmosphere and to sustain life in the vacuum of space was fraught with trial and error. Every achievement was a stepping stone, and every failure a valuable lesson that propelled the mission forward. As we look back at the technological breakthroughs that defined the space race, we must acknowledge the relentless pursuit of knowledge and the vision that allowed humanity to leap from imagination to reality. The development of the Saturn V rocket marked one of the most significant technological milestones in the history of space exploration. This towering behemoth, standing at 363 feet tall, was the largest and most powerful rocket ever built at the time. Designed to carry astronauts on their journey to the moon, the Saturn V rocket was capable of delivering a payload of over 100 tons to Earth's orbit, an engineering feat that seemed almost impossible given the limitations of the era's technology. Led by the brilliant Wernher von Braun and his team of engineers, the Saturn V rocket was the product of years of research, testing, and innovation. Its massive engines, designed to provide the thrust needed to propel the spacecraft beyond Earth's gravitational pull, were a marvel of precision engineering. The rocket was powered by a combination of liquid oxygen and kerosene, a propulsion system that was relatively new at the time, but proved to be highly efficient for long-duration space missions. The Saturn V's success was not just in its size or power, it was in its ability to deliver the necessary payload to the moon with exceptional reliability. The rocket had to overcome immense engineering challenges, including the development of the intricate staging system that allowed the rocket to shed components as it ascended through Earth's atmosphere. These innovations were crucial for the success of the Apollo program, enabling astronauts to reach the moon and return to Earth safely. The Lunar Module, LM, designed by Grumman Aircraft Engineering, was another technological marvel that made the moon landing possible. Unlike the Saturn V rocket, which was designed to take astronauts into space, the Lunar Module had the unique challenge of landing on the moon's and safely returning the astronauts to the command module in lunar orbit. The LM was a lightweight spacecraft, designed for operation in the moon's low-gravity environment. Its design was completely different from anything that had come before it. The lander had no wings, no engines for atmospheric flight, and no need for conventional aerodynamic features. Instead, the focus was on creating a vehicle that could safely descend to the lunar surface, withstand the harsh environment, and return to the orbiting spacecraft. One of the most challenging aspects of the lunar module's design was its descent and landing system. Engineers had to develop a complex system of thrusters to slow the descent and ensure a soft landing on the moon's surface. The LM also had to be equipped with the necessary systems to support the astronauts' survival on the moon, including life support, communication, and navigation. The lunar module's success in landing on the moon was a testament to the ingenuity of its designers and the level of collaboration that existed between NASA's engineers and scientists. The LM was essential not only for the Apollo missions, but also for the success of the Lunar Gateway, serving as a model for future lunar landings and interplanetary exploration. When astronauts were first sent into space, they were faced with the immense challenge of surviving in an environment completely hostile to human life. The vacuum of space, with its lack of oxygen, extreme temperatures, and the absence of gravity, required a new kind of protective gear. The development of the spacesuit was one of the most critical technological breakthroughs in space exploration. The Apollo spacesuit, known as the Extravehicular Mobility Unit, EMU, was designed to provide astronauts with the necessary life support while working outside the spacecraft. This suit was equipped with a variety of systems to maintain pressure, regulate temperature, and provide oxygen. It was also designed to allow astronauts to move freely while performing tasks on the lunar surface. The spacesuit had to be tough enough to withstand the moon's harsh conditions, including its lack of atmosphere, extreme temperatures, and the possibility of collisions with lunar dust. The suit had multiple layers of materials, including a thermal layer for temperature regulation and a pressure layer to ensure the astronaut remained safe in the vacuum of space. In addition, the helmet was equipped with a visor to protect against harmful solar radiation. The development of the Apollo spacesuit was a significant step forward in human space exploration. It not only ensured that astronauts could survive on the moon, but also laid the groundwork for the development of spacesuits used in modern space missions, including those for the International Space Station and potential missions to Mars. One of the greatest challenges in sending astronauts to the moon was ensuring that they could navigate the vast distances of space with precision. The navigation and guidance systems developed for the Apollo missions were groundbreaking and represented the cutting edge of technology at the time. The spacecraft had to be able to travel from Earth to the moon, enter lunar orbit, and land on the surface, all while maintaining accurate trajectory data and ensuring the safety of the astronauts. The Apollo Guidance Computer, AGC, developed by MIT Instrumentation Laboratory, was the heart of the spacecraft's navigation system. The AGC was responsible for calculating and executing the necessary course corrections to ensure that the spacecraft stayed on track. It was an early example of digital computing, and its small size and power efficiency were revolutionary for the time. The AGC was integrated into both the command module and the lunar module, allowing astronauts to perform complex calculations in real time. It was capable of executing thousands of calculations per second, a remarkable feat given the limited processing power of computers at the time. The guidance system was so precise that it enabled Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to land on the moon with a remarkable level of accuracy, even though they had only a small margin of error. Testing and simulations played a critical role in the development of space exploration technologies. Every new system, from rockets to spacecraft to spacesuits, underwent rigorous testing before being deemed ready for use in space. NASA's engineers and scientists knew that failure was not an option. Every detail had to be meticulously checked and tested in conditions as close to space as possible. Simulations were used to replicate the challenges astronauts would face during their missions. These simulations included mock-ups of spacecraft, lunar landers, and spacesuits, allowing astronauts and engineers to rehearse the tasks they would perform on the moon. These tests were critical for ensuring that astronauts could respond effectively to unexpected situations in space. The technological breakthroughs achieved during the Apollo program set the stage for future missions, including the Lunar Gateway project. Many of the advancements made in the 1960s and 1970s would be built upon as space exploration continues to evolve. Today, technologies developed for the Apollo program, such as advanced rocketry, spacecraft design, and life support systems, remain foundational to NASA's current plans for missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. The Lunar Gateway, a space station designed to orbit the Moon and serve as a hub for future missions, is built on the lessons learned during the Apollo era. Innovations in navigation, communication, and spacecraft design continue to drive progress, and the legacy of Apollo's technological breakthroughs remains a guiding force in humanity's quest to explore the stars. The Apollo program, which spanned over a decade and culminated in one of humanity's greatest achievements, was a series of missions that reshaped our understanding of space. Each mission built on the success of the last, overcoming immense challenges and proving that human determination could transcend the limits of science and technology. The Apollo missions were not just about landing a man on the moon. They were about exploring the unknown, testing the boundaries of human capability, and setting the foundation for the future of space exploration. As we look back on these missions, we see that each step, from Apollo 1 to Apollo 17, was an integral part of the journey that would eventually lead to the Lunar Gateway and humanity's sustained presence in space. The Apollo missions are a testament to the power of teamwork, resilience, and the collective spirit of innovation. The Apollo program, though filled with triumphs, began with tragedy. On January 27, 1967, during a routine pre-launch test of Apollo 1, a fire broke out in the spacecraft's pure oxygen cabin. The three astronauts aboard Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward H. White II, and Roger B. Chaffee were tragically killed. The fire, which consumed the entire cabin in less than a minute, highlighted the enormous risks involved in space exploration. Disaster was a devastating blow to NASA and the Apollo program, but it also spurred an immediate and thorough investigation into the safety of the spacecraft. The lessons learned from the Apollo 1 fire led to significant design changes in the spacecraft, including improvements to the oxygen system, better materials to withstand fire, and an overhaul of the crew escape procedures. Although the loss of Apollo 1 was heartbreaking, it also served as a critical turning point. It steeled NASA's resolve to overcome the dangers of space travel and set a new course for future missions. The tragedy underscored the risks involved in space exploration, but also highlighted the importance of safety and innovation. The courage of the astronauts and the dedication of the teams who continued their work were the foundation upon which the success of future missions would be built. Apollo 8, launched on December 21, 1968, was the first mission to carry astronauts beyond Earth's orbit. This mission marked a pivotal moment in the Apollo program and in the history of space exploration. Astronauts Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders were tasked with orbiting the moon and testing the spacecraft systems in preparation for the eventual moon landing. Despite the challenges and the unknowns of space travel, Apollo 8's success was a powerful symbol of human ingenuity. The mission provided the first view of the far side of the moon, an image that would capture the imagination of people around the world. The crew's famous Earthrise photograph, taken as they orbited the moon, became one of the most iconic images in the history of space exploration. It served as a reminder of the fragile beauty of our planet and the vastness of the universe. Apollo 8's successful mission to the moon not only proved that human space travel beyond Earth was possible, but also set the stage for the subsequent missions that would eventually land astronauts on the lunar surface. The astronauts returned to Earth as heroes, having completed a mission that had once seemed inconceivable. The Apollo 11 mission, which culminated in the first human landing on the moon on July 20, 1969, is perhaps the most famous and significant event in the history of space exploration. Astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins became household names as they embarked on a journey that would forever alter the course of human history. The journey to the moon was a harrowing one, fraught with uncertainties. The spacecraft was meticulously designed to carry the astronauts safely to the moon and back, but every stage of the mission involved risks that no one had ever faced before. When the lunar module, Eagle, separated from the command module, the crew encountered unexpected difficulties. Armstrong and Aldrin had to manually pilot the lunar module to a safe landing spot, avoiding large boulders and rough terrain. Their skill and precision under pressure were nothing short of extraordinary. Neil Armstrong's famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," became a rallying cry for generations. As Armstrong and Aldrin spent over 2 hours walking on the moon's surface, collecting samples, and conducting experiments, the world watched in awe. Armstrong's steps were broadcast to millions of people around the globe, and for a brief moment, the world was united in the shared experience of witnessing humanity's first steps on another world. The Apollo 11 mission was a testament to the power of vision, teamwork, and human determination. The successful landing on the moon not only fulfilled Kennedy's goal, but also demonstrated to the world that human beings could transcend the boundaries of Earth and explore the unknown. While Apollo 11 represented the triumph of human exploration, Apollo 13 was a harrowing test of resilience and ingenuity. On April 13, 1970, just days into the mission, an oxygen tank exploded, crippling the spacecraft and forcing the crew to abort their mission to the moon. Astronauts Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert were left stranded in space, facing a life-or-death struggle to return to Earth. The explosion of the oxygen tank created an immediate crisis. The crew's survival depended on their ability to work together, think quickly, and make use of the limited resources available to them. NASA's engineers on the ground, working tirelessly in the Mission Control Center, came up with creative solutions to help the astronauts conserve power, regulate oxygen, and execute a safe return to Earth. The crisis became a testament to the human spirit. Despite the dangers and the odds stacked against them, the crew and Mission Control persevered, and Apollo 13 made a successful return to Earth on April 17, 1970. The mission's success was not in completing the original goal of landing on the moon, but in demonstrating the resilience, resourcefulness, and teamwork that defined the Apollo program. The final Apollo mission, Apollo 17, launched on December 7, 1972, marked the last time humans would travel to the moon for more than 4 decades. Astronauts Eugene Cernan, Harrison Schmitt, and Ronald Evans spent 3 days on the lunar surface, conducting scientific experiments and collecting rock samples. Apollo 17's mission was groundbreaking in many ways, not least because it was the longest and most scientifically productive of the Apollo missions. Cernan and Schmitt became the last humans to walk on the moon, leaving behind footprints and scientific instruments that would continue to yield valuable data long after their departure. The mission's success was a fitting end to the Apollo program, showcasing not only the accomplishments of the past, but also the potential for future exploration. The Apollo missions were a series of unprecedented achievements that redefined humanity's place in the universe. Each mission was a step forward in scientific discovery, technological innovation, and human exploration. The success of Apollo 11, the resilience shown during Apollo 13, and the scientific achievements of Apollo 17 all contributed to the broader goals of space exploration. The legacy of the Apollo missions extends beyond the astronauts and the technology they pioneered. The missions sparked a sense of wonder and possibility that continues to inspire generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers. The Apollo program also laid the groundwork for future endeavors, including the Lunar Gateway project, which aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the moon and serve as a springboard for missions to Mars. As the Apollo missions came to an end, they left behind a legacy of ambition, innovation, and hope. The moon landings were not the final chapter in humanity's exploration of space, but the beginning of a new era. The technological advancements and the spirit of exploration forged during the Apollo program continue to shape our journey into the cosmos. Space exploration, by its very nature, is a high-risk endeavor. The margins for error are razor-thin, and even the smallest malfunction can lead to catastrophic failure. The Apollo program, despite its successes, was not immune to these dangers. Over the course of its missions, the program encountered several critical crises, moments that tested the ingenuity, resourcefulness, and resilience of the astronauts, engineers, and mission control teams. These crises, though frightening, played a pivotal role in shaping the future of space exploration. They highlighted the challenges of venturing into the unknown, but they also demonstrated humanity's capacity to respond to adversity with calm determination and unwavering teamwork. The most famous of these crises was Apollo 13, a mission that became a defining moment in the history of space exploration. Apollo 13 was originally intended to be NASA's third moon landing mission, following the historic Apollo 11 and Apollo 12 missions. The crew, led by Commander Jim Lovell, included Jack Swigert and Fred Hayes. Their mission was to land on the moon and explore the Fra Mauro Highlands. But what was meant to be another triumph in the Apollo program quickly turned into a life-threatening crisis. On April 13, 1970, roughly 56 hours into the mission, an oxygen tank in the service module exploded. The explosion caused a rapid loss of oxygen and power, severely damaging the spacecraft. Almost immediately, the crew was forced to abort the mission. Apollo 13, instead of landing on the moon, now faced the seemingly insurmountable challenge of returning the astronauts safely to Earth. The explosion of the oxygen tank left the astronauts stranded in space, hundreds of thousands of miles from Earth. With their systems compromised, they had limited resources and no clear way to fix the damage. The mission, which had once promised to add to the Apollo program's legacy of success, now became a race against time to bring the astronauts home. The initial response to the crisis was one of shock and disbelief. Back on Earth, in NASA's mission control, the engineers and flight controllers were faced with a desperate situation. Brace. But as the magnitude of the crisis set in, the determination of the team became evident. There was no panic. Instead, the focus was on problem solving and finding solutions. The first priority was to ensure the astronauts' survival. The explosion had left them with only a limited supply of oxygen and power, and they had to conserve both to survive the journey home. The crew quickly powered down non-essential systems, relying on the spacecraft's backup systems to keep life support functioning. Back in Houston, the engineers and flight controllers at NASA's Mission Control began brainstorming solutions to the many problems that Apollo 13 faced. The loss of the oxygen tank meant that the astronauts no longer had enough oxygen to return to Earth, and the spacecraft's carbon dioxide levels were rising to dangerous levels. The engineers on the ground had to figure out a way to filter the carbon dioxide without the proper equipment. The solution came in the form of a makeshift device. A series of plastic bags, duct tape, and cardboard that allowed the astronauts to filter the air. While the carbon dioxide issue was a major concern, it was not the only problem the crew had to solve. With their flight path altered due to the explosion, the crew needed to find a way to use the spacecraft's remaining power and fuel to execute a safe re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. The astronauts were forced to perform manual course corrections using the spacecraft's limited navigation system. The ingenuity of the Apollo 13 mission's team was a testament to human resourcefulness. From the engineers on the ground to the astronauts in space, everyone worked together to find solutions to the seemingly insurmountable problems. Despite the immense pressure, the team remained calm and focused on their mission, bringing the astronauts home safely. The role of NASA's Mission Control in Apollo 13's recovery cannot be overstated. The crisis tested the capabilities of the team on the ground, and their ability to communicate and support the astronauts under extreme pressure was crucial to the mission's success. The engineers and flight controllers, working long hours under stressful conditions, collaborated with each other and with the astronauts to ensure that every available resource was used effectively. One of the most notable aspects of the Apollo 13 crisis was the level of communication and coordination between the astronauts and Mission Control. The astronauts relied heavily on the guidance and expertise of the ground team to navigate through the crisis. Flight Director Gene Kranz, who oversaw the Apollo 13 mission, played a key role in leading the recovery efforts. His calm demeanor and resolute leadership were critical in keeping the team focused on the mission at hand. As the days passed, the crisis unfolded like a high-stakes chess match, with each move calculated and carefully executed. The engineers and flight controllers worked around the clock, providing constant support to the astronauts and ensuring they had the resources needed to complete their mission. As the crew approached Earth, the tensions were high, but the teamwork and collaboration that defined the Apollo program shone through. After 4 days in space, Apollo 13 finally re-entered Earth's atmosphere and splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean on April 17, 1970. The mission was not a success in terms of its original objective, but the safe return of the crew was a monumental achievement. Against all odds, the astronauts had survived and returned home, and the team at NASA had proven that even in the most dire circumstances, human ingenuity and teamwork could overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. The successful recovery of Apollo 13 became a symbol of the resilience of the Apollo program and the broader spirit of space exploration. The mission's legacy was not just in the lessons learned, but in the unwavering determination of those involved in the recovery efforts. Apollo 13 was a crisis, but it was also a triumph, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of collaboration. The Apollo 13 crisis had profound implications for future space missions. The lessons learned from the mission would shape the development of future spacecraft, life support systems, and mission protocols. In the years following Apollo 13, NASA would incorporate many of the changes and improvements identified during the crisis, ensuring that future missions were better prepared to handle emergencies. The incident also highlighted the importance of preparation and training. The astronauts, despite being faced with a rapidly deteriorating situation, relied on their extensive training to remain calm and make critical decisions. The mission control team, meanwhile, demonstrated the importance of adaptability and resourcefulness. Both groups worked together seamlessly, proving that even in the most challenging circumstances, success was possible. Apollo 13, despite its initial failure, had ultimately strengthened the Apollo program and set a new standard for future space missions. The mission's legacy was not just in the technology that was developed, but in the lessons it imparted about teamwork, crisis management, and the resilience needed to succeed in space exploration. While the technical and logistical aspects of the Apollo 13 mission are often emphasized, it's important to consider the human element as well. The psychological and emotional toll on the astronauts and the mission control team was significant. The astronauts, isolated in space and facing life-threatening danger, had to maintain their composure and focus on the task at hand. The pressure on them was immense, and yet they remained calm and collected throughout the ordeal. The teams back on Earth also experienced emotional and psychological stress, as they worked tirelessly to solve the problems that were preventing the crew's safe return. The sense of relief when the astronauts were finally brought back to Earth safely was immense, and the experience reinforced the emotional and psychological bonds that united everyone involved in the mission. The Apollo 11 mission was the culmination of a decade of dedication, innovation, and global collaboration. As the world watched in anticipation, the moment of success seemed within reach. But behind the excitement, a daunting reality loomed. The complexity of the mission had not been fully realized by the general public. Every aspect of Apollo 11, from the launch to the lunar landing, was filled with high-stakes challenges that could make or break humanity's first attempt to land on the moon. The pressure on the astronauts, the ground control teams, and the entire nation was immense. But the spirit of teamwork, resilience, and determination prevailed. This mission, led by Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, would become the defining moment in the space race and in human history. But before the momentous step of landing on the moon could happen, each phase of the mission had to unfold perfectly. In many ways, it was an orchestra of human ingenuity and technological precision, where every instrument had to play its part perfectly. The journey to the moon began with a powerful roar on July 16, 1969, as the Saturn V rocket carrying Apollo 11 lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The launch was flawless, but the sheer scale of the task ahead was overwhelming. The rocket, standing 363 feet tall, was a symbol of human engineering, a testament to the decades of research, testing, and development that had led up to this moment. As Apollo 11 ascended into the sky, the world held its breath. The astronauts aboard were fully aware of the risks and challenges they faced, but they remained focused on the mission at hand. They were part of a much larger effort, one that involved not only the United States but the global community. As the rocket carried them away from Earth's atmosphere and toward the moon, they knew they were embarking on a journey that would define the future of space exploration. Once in space, the crew of Apollo 11 began the first phase of their mission, the journey to lunar orbit. This phase required precision in navigation and communication with mission control. The spacecraft systems were tested, and minor adjustments were made to ensure the crew would be on course for the moon. The astronauts had to rely on their training and the expertise of the team back on Earth to maintain a steady course. The moon was getting closer, but the team knew that the greatest challenges lay ahead. The next stage, entering lunar orbit, was critical for the success of the mission. As they approached the moon, the gravitational pull shifted, and the spacecraft had to adjust its trajectory to enter orbit without crashing or overshooting. Apollo 11's lunar module, Eagle, was designed to carry Armstrong and Aldrin to the moon's surface and return them to the command module, which was piloted by Michael Collins. The descent to the moon was filled with tension, as any mistake could result in a crash landing, leaving the astronauts stranded. This part of the mission was the most dangerous, and required the astronauts to manually pilot the lander, despite the spacecraft's automated systems. The descent began with the separation of the lunar module from the command module in lunar orbit. Armstrong and Aldrin were now in the lunar module, and as they began their descent to the surface, they encountered technical difficulties that threatened the success of the mission. The landing site, initially planned to be a flat area, was filled with boulders, making it unsafe to land. Armstrong and Aldrin had to rely on their training and instincts to manually pilot the lunar module, diverting from their original landing site and searching for a safer area to touch down. As the lunar module descended through the moon's dusty surface, the countdown to landing was nerve-wracking. Armstrong, with his calm and steady hand, guided the module toward the surface, avoiding hazards along the way. The descent was marked by tensions, with the astronauts communicating their progress to mission control. They were now only seconds from landing. At 4:17 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the lunar module's engines cut off, and Armstrong's voice echoed through the communication system. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." The world erupted in jubilation. After years of struggle, uncertainty, and technical challenges, humanity had made it to the moon. The landing of Apollo 11 was not just a victory for America. It was a triumph for all of humankind. In the moments following the lunar module's successful landing, Armstrong and Aldrin prepared for the most momentous event in human history, the first human steps on the lunar surface. With the Eagle safely perched on the moon, Armstrong opened the hatch, donned his spacesuit, and prepared to descend the ladder that would lead him to the surface. As Armstrong's boot made contact with the moon's dusty surface, his famous words were transmitted back to Earth. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." These words, simple yet profound, would become etched in history. Armstrong's step on the moon symbolized not just the achievement of a goal set by President John F. Kennedy, but the triumph of humanity's will to explore, discover, and achieve the impossible. Buzz Aldrin followed Armstrong onto the lunar surface shortly after, and the two astronauts spent approximately 2 hours exploring the area. They took photographs, collected samples, and conducted experiments that would provide valuable data for years to come. During their time on the moon, they planted the American flag, leaving behind a symbol of human achievement and exploration. While Armstrong and Aldrin were making history, Michael Collins remained in lunar orbit aboard the command module. He maintained a steady course, keeping the spacecraft in orbit as the two astronauts explored the lunar surface. Collins's role was essential, as he was the anchor in lunar orbit who would reunite with Armstrong and Aldrin after their mission on the surface was complete. With their exploration of the lunar surface complete, Armstrong and Aldrin climbed back into the lunar module, leaving behind a few relics and artifacts, including an American flag and the iconic plaque that read, "Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." The ascent from the moon was as challenging as the descent. The lunar module's ascent stage needed to lift off from the moon and return to the command module. With a successful launch from the lunar surface, Armstrong and Aldrin docked with Collins aboard the command module, completing their historic journey. The crew then began their journey back to Earth, a mission that included more challenges. They had to execute precise maneuvers to re-enter Earth's atmosphere safely. On July 24, 1969, Apollo 11 splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, marking the successful end of the mission. The astronauts were recovered by the USS Hornet, and their safe return was celebrated worldwide. The success of Apollo 11 was not just an American achievement, but a global one. The entire world watched, held its breath, and celebrated the accomplishment. The moon landing was broadcast live, with an estimated 600 million people tuning in to witness Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface. The images and sounds of the mission were beamed across the globe, uniting humanity in a shared moment of awe and wonder. The mission's success provided hope, inspiration, and a renewed sense of possibility. It demonstrated that, through collaboration and perseverance, humanity could overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles and achieve the impossible. Apollo 11 was not just a historical event, it was a symbol of human achievement, a milestone in the journey of exploration that would continue for generations. The aftermath of the Apollo 11 mission was filled with jubilation, pride, and an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. As the world watched Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins return safely to Earth, the success of the mission reverberated across nations. It wasn't just the United States that celebrated this achievement. This was a victory for humanity as a whole. The moon landing was a defining moment that transcended political borders, cultural divides, and national pride. It was proof that when humanity works together toward a common goal, there is little that is impossible. The astronauts were welcomed as heroes, celebrated with parades, speeches, and gatherings around the world. The sense of national pride in the United States was palpable. Apollo 11 had achieved something no nation had ever dared to attempt, landing humans on another celestial body. The mission's success not only fulfilled President Kennedy's vision, but also proved to the world that space exploration was no longer a distant dream. It was a reality that could be achieved through dedication, innovation, and teamwork. The astronauts were immediately thrust into the limelight. They toured the world, meeting with heads of state and scientists, receiving awards and accolades, and attending numerous events that highlighted their historic achievement. Yet beneath the glory of the moment, there was also a sense of quiet reflection among the crew members. They had just completed a journey that had pushed the boundaries of human endurance, risked their lives, and marked the culmination of years of work. For Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, the real significance of their achievement lay not in the fame but in the knowledge that they had made history, that their actions would inspire future generations to look beyond the stars. Apollo 11 was not just a victory of human perseverance, but also a testament to the extraordinary technological and scientific advancements that made it possible. The mission sparked a series of innovations in fields such as aerospace engineering, materials, science, and computer technology. These advances not only made space travel safer and more efficient, but also laid the groundwork for future missions, both to the moon and beyond. The Apollo program's success demonstrated the immense potential of human ingenuity. It proved that, when given the resources and the will, humanity could overcome even the most daunting challenges. The lessons learned from the Apollo missions have continued to shape space exploration, and have had lasting impacts on technology, engineering, and the understanding of space. One of the most significant scientific contributions of the Apollo missions was the collection of lunar samples. The samples collected during Apollo 11's landing on the moon provided valuable insights into the moon's geological history and composition. These samples would later help scientists understand the origins of the moon and its relationship to Earth. The Apollo 11 mission was the first to bring back material from another celestial body, opening new avenues of research and discovery. The success of Apollo 11 also led to the development of new space exploration programs. The lessons learned from the moon landings contributed to the design of the Space Shuttle, the International Space Station, and, more recently, missions to Mars and beyond. The technological and scientific legacy of Apollo 11 continues to inspire space exploration today. The Apollo 11 mission had profound political and social implications. It was not just a race for technological superiority. It was a contest of ideologies between the United States and the Soviet Union. The successful landing on the moon gave the United States a clear victory in the space race, solidifying its position as the dominant superpower in the space age. At the same time, the Apollo 11 mission signaled the beginning of a new era of global cooperation in space. The Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1972, the first international space mission between the United States and the Soviet Union, paved the way for future collaborations. The space race, once a symbol of Cold War rivalry, gradually gave way to international cooperation, with nations coming together to explore space for the benefit of all humankind. Socially, the moon landing captured the imagination of people around the world, inspiring generations of scientists, engineers, and astronauts. The success of Apollo 11 helped fuel a sense of optimism and possibility during a time of global unrest. Amid the turmoil of the 1960s and 1970s, the landing on the moon offered a glimmer of hope, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when united in purpose. It was a moment that transcended politics and national borders, reminding the world that exploration and discovery could unite us all. Though Apollo 11 marked the pinnacle of the Apollo program, it was not the final mission. Apollo 12, Apollo 14, Apollo 15, Apollo 16, and Apollo 17 followed, each contributing to the program's legacy. However, by 1972, the Apollo program had reached its natural conclusion. The cost of the missions, coupled with shifting political priorities and the growing focus on other scientific endeavors, led to the decision to end the program. The last Apollo mission, Apollo 17, was launched in December 1972, marking the end of the United States' manned missions to the moon for over 40 years. Although the Apollo program had successfully achieved its main goal, the exploration of the moon, the lessons learned, would continue to influence space exploration for decades. In the years following the Apollo program, the focus of NASA shifted to other initiatives, including the Space Shuttle program and the development of the International Space Station. These programs were designed to build upon the legacy of Apollo, expanding humanity's presence in space and advancing our understanding of the universe. The legacy of Apollo 11 is immeasurable. It demonstrated the power of human will, ingenuity, and perseverance. It proved that no goal, no matter how ambitious, was beyond the reach of human determination. Apollo 11 was not just a moment of national pride for the United States, but a global achievement. One that has inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and dreamers around the world. The impact of the Apollo program continues to be felt today, as space exploration enters a new era. Programs like Artemis, which seeks to return humans to the moon, and the ongoing efforts to send humans to Mars, are direct descendants of the Apollo missions. The innovations and breakthroughs that emerged from the Apollo program laid the foundation for the next phase of space exploration, one that will push the boundaries even further. As humanity looks to the future, the lessons of Apollo 11 remain as relevant as ever. The mission taught us that, no matter how impossible a goal may seem, with dedication, collaboration, and a willingness to embrace the unknown, anything is possible. Apollo 11 was more than just a historical event. It was the beginning of a journey, one that continues to inspire and shape the future of space exploration. One of the most profound lessons to emerge from the Apollo 11 mission is the timeless human drive to explore the unknown. Throughout history, humanity has been drawn to the stars, seeking to uncover mysteries beyond the visible horizon. From the first sea voyages to the discovery of new continents, exploration has been the catalyst for scientific advancements, cultural exchange, and human growth. The Apollo 11 mission exemplified this drive in its purest form. Despite the immense challenges and risks, the astronauts were determined to push the boundaries of human capability. Their mission was not just about landing on the moon. It was about answering a fundamental question. What lies beyond the Earth? What can we achieve if we dare to dream big? 11. Apollo 11 was the realization of humanity's most ambitious exploration goal at the time, serving as a culmination of centuries of scientific discovery, technological progress, and philosophical inquiry. It was proof that, with determination, curiosity, and collaboration, there is virtually no limit to what can be achieved. The spirit of exploration that fueled Apollo 11 continues to inspire efforts like the Artemis mission, which aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the moon and eventually send humans to Mars. The moon landing was not just a victory for science and technology. It was a reminder of the profound impact of exploration on the human spirit. It is a timeless call to look beyond the present, to envision new frontiers, and to continue seeking answers to the questions that have captivated humankind for millennia. Another key lesson from Apollo 11, and the Apollo program as a whole, was the importance of resilience in the face of adversity. The program's success did not come without obstacles. In fact, it was defined by overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. The Apollo missions were filled with technical failures, moments of doubt, and numerous near misses. Yet time and again, NASA's engineers, scientists, astronauts, and mission control teams displayed an unwavering commitment to success. The story of Apollo 13, for example, is a powerful testament to human resilience. When the oxygen tank exploded, jeopardizing the mission and the lives of the astronauts aboard, NASA's team on the ground responded with calmness, creativity, and teamwork. The successful recovery of the crew was not just a technical victory. It was a demonstration of humanity's ability to respond to crisis with ingenuity, determination, and collaboration. Similarly, the Apollo 11 mission itself was fraught with uncertainty and risk. As the spacecraft approached the moon, unexpected difficulties arose, such as the need for Armstrong and Aldrin to manually pilot the lunar module to avoid boulders on the surface. The crew's ability to remain calm and focused under pressure was a direct result of their extensive training and the collective resilience of the team behind them. The theme of overcoming adversity through resilience is as relevant today as it was during the Apollo program. As humanity ventures into even more challenging frontiers, including Mars and beyond, the lessons learned from Apollo will continue to serve as a guiding light. The drive to face adversity head-on, with resilience and creativity, is a vital component of the human spirit and a cornerstone of future space exploration. Apollo 11 also underscores the critical importance of collaboration. The mission's success was not the work of a single astronaut or engineer. It was the result of the collective efforts of thousands of individuals across the globe, working together toward a common goal. The engineers, scientists, and technicians who designed the spacecraft, the astronauts who carried out the mission, and the mission control teams who guided them through every step of the journey all played an integral part in the success of Apollo 11. The collaboration between different sectors of society, government, industry, academia, and the military was crucial. The Apollo program was a massive undertaking that required not just the expertise of NASA, but also the support and innovation of private companies, universities, and international partners. The Saturn V rocket, lunar module, and command module were all the products of this unprecedented collaboration, and their successful design and execution proved that collective effort could overcome even the greatest challenges. In a broader sense, the Apollo mission set the stage for future international collaborations in space. The Apollo-Soyuz test project, for example, was the first international human spaceflight mission between the United States and the Soviet Union, and it symbolized the potential for cooperation in space exploration, even amidst political rivalry. Today, the International Space Station, ISS, is a testament to the enduring power of collaboration, with astronauts and cosmonauts from different countries working side by side to advance scientific discovery and exploration. The Apollo program's focus on teamwork and collaboration continues to be relevant in the context of modern space exploration. As missions grow increasingly complex and extend further into the solar system, international partnerships and collaborative efforts will be key to achieving success. The lessons learned from Apollo 11 serve as a reminder that the most ambitious goals are often realized when people work together, pooling their resources, expertise, and determination to achieve something greater than the sum of their parts. While the Apollo missions represented the triumph of human achievement, they also raised important ethical questions about space exploration. The moon landing, while a remarkable technological feat, also brought attention to humanity's growing presence in space and the responsibilities that come with it. As we venture further into the cosmos, questions about the ethical implications of space exploration, resource extraction, and the preservation of extraterrestrial environments become increasingly important. Apollo 11's success highlighted the need for careful consideration of the potential impacts of human activity in space. The moon, once considered a pristine, untouched world, now bears the marks of human exploration. From the American flag planted on the lunar surface to the various instruments left behind, the legacy of Apollo 11 is still present on the moon. As humanity plans future missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond, it will need to grapple with the question of how to balance exploration with preservation. The ethical considerations of space exploration extend beyond the preservation of celestial bodies. As we move forward with plans to establish permanent human settlements on the Moon and Mars, we must also consider the impact of human life and activity on these environments. How will we protect these pristine worlds from contamination? And how will we ensure that space exploration is carried out in a way that benefits all of humanity, rather than just a few select nations or private corporations? The ethical implications of space exploration are complex and multifaceted, but they are essential to ensuring that humanity's expansion into the cosmos is done responsibly and sustainably. The lessons learned from Apollo 11 about exploration, resilience, and collaboration can guide us in addressing these ethical challenges as we continue our journey into the unknown. The Apollo 11 mission was more than just a technical achievement. It was a defining moment in human history. It was a testament to the power of vision, collaboration, and human resilience. When Neil Armstrong set foot on the lunar surface on July 20, 1969, he wasn't just making history for the United States. He was making history for all of humanity. The moon landing represented the realization of a dream that had been shared by generations of scientists, explorers, and dreamers, and it became a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it dared to push beyond its limits. The significance of Apollo 11 lies not just in its immediate success, but in the lasting impact it has had on science, technology, and human exploration. It demonstrated that, when given the resources and the collective will, humanity could transcend the boundaries of Earth and reach for the stars. Apollo 11 was a symbol of progress, a reminder that no goal, no matter how seemingly impossible, was beyond the reach of human determination. As we reflect on Apollo 11 and the Apollo program as a whole, we recognize the profound impact it had on our understanding of space, our technological capabilities, and our ability to work together for a common cause. The success of the mission continues to inspire future generations of explorers, scientists, and engineers. It serves as a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge and the spirit of exploration are fundamental to who we are as humans. While Apollo 11 marked a pinnacle in space exploration, it was by no means the end of humanity's journey into the cosmos. In many ways, the moon landing was just the beginning. The technological advancements, scientific discoveries, and lessons learned during the Apollo program laid the groundwork for future space exploration endeavors. Apollo 11 demonstrated that human exploration of space was possible, and it ignited a global interest in space science and technology that continues to this day. The legacy of Apollo 11 can be seen in the ongoing efforts to explore and inhabit the Moon, Mars, and beyond. The Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the Moon by 2025, is directly inspired by the successes of Apollo. Artemis plans to establish a sustainable human presence on the Moon, using it as a stepping stone for future missions to Mars. This ambition is not just about revisiting the Moon, but about continuing the spirit of Apollo 11. Pushing the boundaries of what is possible, and expanding humanity's presence in the solar system. The lessons learned from Apollo 11 are integral to the next phase of space exploration. The importance of technological innovation, the value of collaboration, and the resilience required to overcome adversity will continue to guide future missions. As we look to the Moon and Mars, we can draw on the experiences of the Apollo astronauts, who paved the way for the explorers who will follow. The next great leap in space exploration is the establishment of a permanent human presence beyond Earth. The Moon, with its proximity and potential resources, will serve as the first platform for humanity's long-term presence in space. NASA's Artemis program aims to build a sustainable base on the Moon, which will support scientific research, technology development, and resource extraction. This base will serve as a launchpad for missions to Mars, enabling astronauts to make the journey to the Red Planet with greater efficiency and safety. Mars is the ultimate goal for human exploration. The challenges of landing humans on Mars are immense, but the potential rewards are even greater. A manned mission to Mars would not only be a monumental achievement in space exploration, but also a pivotal moment in the history of human civilization. Colonizing Mars could offer solutions to Earth's resource challenges, provide a backup for humanity in case of catastrophic events on Earth, and expand our understanding of life in the universe. The development of technologies that support life on Mars, including habitats, food production systems, and advanced propulsion methods, will build upon the lessons learned from Apollo and the ISS. Mars missions will require international collaboration, innovative solutions, and long-term planning. But the pursuit of this goal is not just about scientific discovery. It is about the survival and growth of humanity. In recent years, private companies have begun to play an increasingly important role in space exploration. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others are developing new spacecraft, technologies, and business models that will complement government-led missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. SpaceX's Starship, for example, is designed to carry large numbers of people and cargo to Mars, revolutionizing the way we think about space travel. Private industry is helping to drive the cost of space exploration down, while also increasing the pace of innovation. The rise of commercial space companies has brought new ideas, fresh perspectives, and a competitive edge to space exploration, allowing for the development of technologies that were once thought to be too ambitious or costly. As these companies continue to develop reusable rockets, sustainable habitats, and advanced propulsion systems, they will play a critical role in humanity's future in space. Private companies are also opening up space to a broader range of people. Space tourism, for example, has the potential to make space accessible to individuals who may not be astronauts but are eager to experience space firsthand. The democratization of space could have profound social and cultural impacts, as more people are exposed to the wonders of space and the perspective it offers on life on Earth. The future of space exploration lies not in the hands of any single nation, but in the collaboration of the global community. The successes of Apollo 11 and the Apollo program have shown us that when humanity works together toward a common goal, we can achieve extraordinary things. The International Space Station, ISS, is a prime example of international cooperation in space, with astronauts from various countries working together to conduct scientific research and advance our understanding of space. As we look to the future, the lessons of Apollo 11 should continue to guide us. Space exploration is not just about scientific discovery. It is about the potential for unity, progress, and shared achievement. The pursuit of knowledge, the desire to explore, and the drive to better understand our place in the universe are universal values that transcend political, national, and cultural boundaries. In the coming decades, we will witness humanity's return to the Moon, the exploration of Mars, and the possibility of human settlements on other planets. The legacy of Apollo 11 will live on, inspiring future generations to reach for the stars, to dream bigger, and to continue exploring the unknown. The story of Apollo 11 is not just a chapter in history. It is the beginning of an ongoing journey that will shape the future of humanity for centuries to come.